a heart-wrenching milestone. And that milestone mentioned, heart-wrenching milestone, when President Biden announced that we've lost 1 million lives from COVID-19 in the U.S.
It's a heartbreaking reminder to those who have lost loved ones over the last 2 years of the pandemic. And for those who were affected financially, FEMA is working to help out by offering up to $9,000 of funeral expenses for someone who died of COVID-19. The COVID-19 Funeral Assistance Fund has no end date. Covers deaths attributed to coronavirus as far back as January 2020.
But still, a lot of people are still fighting to get their money, including Kerri Raissian. Kerri's father, Max, died shortly after Christmas 2021, just 2 weeks after he was diagnosed with COVID and admitted to a hospital in Columbus, Texas. The reason why Kerri has yet to be paid by FEMA? Well, his death certificate states he died from a heart attack, but leaves out his battle with COVID-19. Kerri joins us now to discuss this. We really appreciate you being here, Kerri. I know this is not easy to talk about. One of the worst things in the world is losing a parent. So as we think about your father and lift up his legacy and who he was to you, explain to us, why is COVID-19 not listed as his cause of death on that death certificate?
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for bringing attention to this this issue. So I don't know necessarily why COVID isn't listed on his death certificate. I think part of the reason is that Daddy was rushed to Katy Memorial Hospital on December 28th. From what we thought was a heart attack. Also, his oxygen levels were crashing. So he was transported from a skilled nursing facility into the hospital. I told the doctors in the ER that he was COVID positive because I was concerned for their safety. But then I had to leave because of COVID protocols, and I wasn't there when Daddy died. So a COVID test was never performed on him because he was, there just wasn't his needed treatment at the moment. And we decided to make him comfortable, and he had a do not resuscitate order. So this was in the middle of the Omicron surge, and, you know, the doctor didn't perform a COVID test. He had a positive COVID test on December 25th. That was the last time he was tested. And I don't really know. I've tried to contact the doctor for months, since the day Daddy died, to try to correct this error on the death certificate, and to no avail. The doctor has yet to contact me back.
Tell us about that process and just what it's been like in detail to get it changed in order to qualify for this FEMA assistance.
Yeah, so in order to qualify for FEMA assistance, it looks really simple on the FEMA guidelines. You just have to submit a death certificate that lists COVID as a cause of death. It doesn't have to be the primary cause of death, but it has to be listed on the death certificate as a cause of death. And if you have that, it's very simple. I think I haven't gotten that far, but I'm told it's very simple. And unfortunately, Daddy's death certificate lists heart failure and sepsis as his causes of death. And so I spent months getting all of his COVID tests together from the hospital he was in, Columbus. I spent time getting his intake instructions when he went to a skilled nursing facility. All of those things, the documentation of the day he died. And I brought that all to the doctor's office. I managed to sort of track down the office where the doctor worked. I went to the emergency room. I went to Memorial Hermann emergency room. I spoke to nurses and doctors there. I was told they couldn't do anything. It had to be the doctor that signed the death certificate. I found that doctor's office. I went to the doctor's office. I dropped off a packet with, labels and sticky notes, and here's the COVID test, and highlighted, and did all of those things. Daddy had about 4 or 5 COVID tests between December 16th and December 25th, all of which were positive. And I've just not heard back. And in Texas, the only person that can change a death certificate is the physician that attended the death. And FEMA will accept no other documentation. It is only if the death certificate says COVID as a cause of death. And so without the doctor correcting this error on the death certificate, there's simply nothing that we can do to collect the FEMA benefits.
And Kerri, can you give us the name of that doctor?
It's Dr. Khawaja Mubarak.
Okay, because
it's
it seems
listed
like
on the death
that's
certificate.
sure. I mean, it seems like that's a major holdup right there. And I want to ask you, first, we've been looking at pictures while you've been talking of your dad and the wedding photograph, which is a beautiful thing. And I am sorry for your loss. It's a beautiful moment there, and a blessing that you had him there. Let's just look at what FEMA's saying. So FEMA says that it takes approximately 45 days to make what they call an eligibility decision on helping with the funeral expenses of people who've died from COVID. And as of May 4th, they say more than 356,000 of the nearly 500,000 applicants have been deemed eligible for funeral assistance. Only 20,700 have been deemed ineligible. Have you got any advice for people who, might be facing what you're facing, which is going through this process?
Yeah, so first, I guess my advice is if you have a loved one in the hospital or receiving care for COVID and it looks like death is a possibility, number one, I'm really sorry that that's a potential outcome. But number two, just be really upfront with the doctor at the time about that it's important to have COVID listed as a cause of death on the death certificate. And if they require a test in their hospital, go ahead and be proactive and advocate for that to be done. The other thing, I think funeral directors, I think hospital social workers, and I think estate planners, lawyers that are helping people plan their estate can do this. We actually met with our estate lawyer a couple of days before Daddy died, and this wasn't brought up. And had it been brought up, I would have known to have been more proactive. So I think my advice is it's an awful time. It's the last thing you are thinking about. But it's a benefit that you're entitled to. My hope is you will never need it. But if you need it, it's much easier to get it on the front end than to try to correct an error on the back end, because I've been trying to do this, since December.
Well, and you've now mentioned the Dr. Khawaja Mubarak. It is on the death certificate. I can tell you that we will follow up and we'll make calls. Kerri, since we've done this interview, we've talked about this, you can't seem to get through. We will make those calls for sure. Appreciate you, Kerri. And love seeing the picture of you and your dad behind you. What an amazing memory. I'm glad he got to walk you down the aisle.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerri.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.